cold at the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. A crying dove may never fly. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh. 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 It's black and white. Black and white, just let me go. It's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. Just let me go. It's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh. 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 It's black and white. Black and white.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the British Boring Car Championship. We're here for rounds 11 and 12 from Snetterton, the iconic Snetterton circuit in the east of England. Out in the sticks, one of the flattest circuits in the country. Based on an airfield, of course. Plenty of long straights, and especially on this layout, the 200 layout. The shorter, close to the older layout, or as close as we can get on iRacing anyway. The drivers have a big challenge here with that little Wilson hairpin at the top, which then turns into a chicane on exit. Then they've got the rest of the classic layout here at Snetterton without the newer infield. Not too warm either, and we're going to be racing under lights as well. That's not the sun rising that you can see in the background. That is the sun setting, and it will get darker and darker as the evening goes on. Last time we were here, Michael Blake took the win in the feature race, and he was saying last week that he doesn't enjoy this track, but he's hoping for some more good results. We'll take a quick look at the championship standings going into this race meeting. Jake Robertson leading the way. He's 13 points clear of Matt Draycott, 22 points clear of Calvin Dent, and they have a 30-point gap over Steve Burke, who's only 1 point ahead of Michael Blake as well. Michael's had a good couple of race meetings recently, so has shown some great consistency. Did an awesome job at Donington Park. Carl Jacquelette's still up there, tied with Josh Rayfield for 6th and 7th. Maciej Sekovic hasn't been available to make some of these rounds for the last few weeks, so unfortunately he will not be taking part again tonight, and he's dropped down the order because of that. But if we look over to the Mediocre Cup for Independents, you can see that obviously Calvin Dent leading the way very much so in that one. Maciej, as we just mentioned there, has been away for a couple of race meetings, so not really able to catch him up. Apparently Austin Smith, which obviously Luke Austin took the place of Paul Smith in his car, but for some reason it's come up with Luke's name and half of Paul's name. Very, very strange. We'll sort that, shall we? It's Luke Austin from Alpha Live, there you go, who has 3 points. Michael Jones with just the 1 point that he got at Brands Hatch earlier in the season. So, important thing to note then, for this man, Matt Draycott, who's currently down in 10th in practice, but only 3/10 off. We've got a second covering the top 13 down to Derek Robb. 1.7 seconds cover the field, 1.1 cover the top 14 down to Niall Crowther. Jake Robertson will not be here tonight. Jake Robertson will not be taking part in this evening's racing, so it's a big chance for this man as well, Josh Rayfield, Draycott's teammate and Team Red Ring, to take a bigger chunk out of Bordeaux. Neither of their drivers here tonight, and Bordeaux second in the team's championship at the moment, but just not able to make the indents needed due to Louis Hanker's absence. Now Dan McCauley's gone up to 3rd place in this practice session. Andy Fox is currently 2nd. We then have Steve Burke in 4th. Michael Ellett is 5th at the moment. Michael's shown some good improvements to his pace. Calvin Dent is another one that's going to be wanting to take points out of Jake's championship lead. Don't forget, Calvin 22 points off Jake, and it's 15 points for a race win. So there's the opportunity for him to get 33 points tonight. That's the maximum you can get. 3 points for pole, and then 15 for each of the race wins. Carl Jacquelette had a bit of a poor run at Donington Park, although in his defence he wasn't well, so he missed the majority of the second race. He's obviously back fighting fit now. Brian Crowles, he's been enjoying himself. He's going to be very excited for the Vertex Stock Car Cup, which starts next Wednesday. And I'll be covering the broadcast for that. That is the NASCAR Xfinity cars on iRacing, in a wonderful mix of oval and road courses. And don't forget as well, you may have seen the announcement on Chaz Draycott Media that we do have the Christmas party lined up, which will be on the 28th of December. That should be a lot of fun. We're going to be doing, now I didn't release the format publicly, but we're going to be doing a road race around the short Daytona infield circuit. We're then going to be doing an oval race around the old Daytona, the bumpy one. We're going to nip down the road for a dirt oval race, all of these in the Jettas. A dirt oval race at USA International, the dirt oval there, and then a full-blown rallycross race meeting to round out the night. And it's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be streamed live on Sim Racers World TV as well. So it will not be here on my channels, but it will be here actually on my Facebook and on my Twitch, but it'll be on the Sim Racers World TV YouTube channel instead. We look here at Michael Jones. He's currently just making his way around Coram. Very difficult part of the circuit to get right in these cars due to the amount of bouncing that they do. Nice and smooth through there. Doesn't hit the curb on the inside of the final corner, and that's what's been frustrating a lot of drivers, most notably Matt Draycott. He was getting very angry about it in practice. Across the line goes Jones with 6 minutes of this practice session left to go. He does a 1:30.9. His fastest is a 1:23.1, so not really being consistent at the minute. Runs a bit wide as well through turn 1. A bit of grass to go with it. Now here is Steve Burke. You can tell it's Steve with the blue windscreen banner and the bright green reflective visor in that Nodaphone car. His teammate Tom Jacobs obviously still been having internet issues, but Tom has also just picked up his new car today. He's just picked up his new BMW. So congrats to Tom. And I'm sure he'll be out enjoying the wonderful machinery. But Steve is the, so far, best of the rest this season. Him and Michael Blake, who we were looking at a moment ago for Team Might Just Fit, are the two guys that could potentially catch up with the likes of Calvin Dent, Matt Draycott and Jake Robertson. We've only had 4 race winners this season, and they are Carl Jacquelet, Calvin Dent, they've got 1 each, and then Matt Draycott and Jake Robertson have got 4 wins apiece, which just shows the consistency of this man, Calvin Dent. He's won 1 race in this championship, and he's only 9 points off Matt Draycott. That's really impressive. And he is the first independent to ever win a race outright in the British Boring Car Championship. You can see he's pushing really hard here. He's just trying to find the limit in that VW Jetta TDI Cup. Across the line he goes. Obviously that won't be an improvement, but he's only 3/10 off the top spot, so it just shows you, if you gain 3/10, that could put you right to the sharp end. Michael Blake is only 3/10 off. He's 6,000ths off Jacquelet. Luke Austin is up there in 6th place at the moment as well. Luke made his debut last week at Donington Park and won the first race in his class anyway, the Mediocre Cup for Independents. He was the highest placed driver in that class in the sprint race, so well done to Luke. He's taken over from Paul Smith and Tony Pearman in the Mark Blair-esque independent entry. Out of the pits comes Andy Fox, currently 2nd fastest in this session. Andy, one of the more consistent drivers in the series, but just having bad luck here and there. Andy was actually one of the picks to be fighting up there for the championship this season, but at the moment he's down in 12th place with just 18 points. He's nearly 100 points off the championship leader, and considering that it's 15 points for a race win, doesn't look like he's going to be able to do much to bring that back. He's hoping to get back inside the top 10 and at least beat his season 1 finishing position, which is signified by his car number 7. Michael Blake wants a top 5 in the championship, and don't forget, Might Just Fit, these 2 cars on screen are actually the reigning team's champions as well. Michael Blake and Dave Waldock in season 1 winning that championship and doing a smashing job indeed. They didn't quite win it before the final race of the season, but all they needed to do really was get 2 points, I think it was, in that final race to win the championship. Michael, of course, won a race here last season, so he's going to want to do that again. It was his first win of the championship. He had so much bad luck in the feature races last season, as Burke goes 3rd and Blake runs a little bit wide. Dan McCauley's doing a good job. He's up there in 4th place for Team Jane Fonda, him and his teammate Derek Robb. And now a 2nd just covers the top 14 as Crowther has improved up to 13th position. So close. It's unbelievable. But this circuit, me and David were saying just last week that it's a very challenging track because of how flat it is. You don't actually get much vision for the upcoming corners like you do at circuits like Brands Hatch or Alton Park because of the oscillation going uphill, downhill, all over the place. This track is deceivingly difficult, as Matt Draycott is showing at the moment. He's 10th, and he's got Crowells and Silkstone right behind him. It just shows you how close this championship is. We've got not even a 1/10 of a second separating the top 3. Steve Burke, Andy Fox, Josh Rayfield. You've got to think that Draycott and Dent are probably 2 of the favourites to go out there and try and take some race wins again tonight, but at the moment they're 9th and 10th. So Rayfield, Fox, Burke, Macaulay, they're looking good for it. Elliott and Austin are always up there in practice, but we'll see what they can do in quali. With just 1 minute left of this session, Steve does a 1:21.9. His fastest is a 21.46. I'll actually show you the best times that these guys have done on the left. We'll get rid of the thing there so you can see the gaps. 1:21.364 for Josh Rayfield. And a 1:23.1 for Michael Jones. Again, when you see it as the actual times rather than just what the gap is, it just shows you how close it is. Bonkers. Really is bonkers. So, Steve Burke then, third at the moment for Nodaphone. In the Teams Championship, Nodaphone are third. They're 9 points ahead of Might Just Fit, who are only 9 points ahead of Team Netcode as well. So they're having a good strong fight. There's 18 points between Team Red Ring and Bordeaux at the top of the championship. And like I said, Draycott and Rayfield are going to want to open that gap up this evening even further. There's Brian Crowell's just sat in the pit lane, and there is the commentary box at Snetterton, of which I spent a couple of weekends this year. Most notably the Citroen 2CV 24 Hours of Snetterton. That was a long old stint, that was. First car out of the pit lane is Josh Rayfield. Now Josh is going to be pushing very hard indeed around this circuit. We'll go on board and see what it's like. This is into the Wilson hairpin. Onto the brakes. It is a hairpin with a big sausage curve on the inside, but you have to turn it into a chicane on the exit. It's very difficult. There's a bit of grass on the outside as well, on the exit of the corner. It's not very easy to get it right out of there. And it's important as well. So many of the corners on this circuit are important because of the run out of them. And this being one of them. As you get now into Brundle and Nelson. Brundle, the left-hander, on the way in. You're on the brakes. You'll see the drivers turning right on the way in just to keep the car straight. Some of the drivers will lose the rear end and go in the wall around there. And then you've got the tight right-hander of Nelson. Through the bomb hole. Plenty of fun poked at that corner over the time. The circuit dips away from you and suddenly you get loads of grip. Now Coram, nightmare. Absolute nightmare, because look, Josh has taken an early apex. The car's wobbling and it's run wide, and then you're on the brakes into Murray's. You're turning right. The car's trying to continue turning right, and then you want to get the weight transfer to the left. You run wide on the exit, and then before you know it, you've got an issue, and then down the centre straight, of course. And it is quite steep uphill down the centre straight. I did say how flat the circuit was before, but it's definitely uphill in that regard, down towards Riches. And Josh will be the first car. As the times come in, we've obviously got outlaps being counted here, 27s. Not really anything to be sniffed at there, because 121s are the times to beat. Oh, Michael Jones has just gone off circuit. He's pushing very hard indeed. He recovers, though, out of Brundle and Nelson. He wasn't on a hot lap at that point, so he won't be too fussed about that. He gets to continue and push on. So the field then streaming towards us. I'll turn the car volume up, by the way, as well, everybody. Apologies for that. We should have the cars a little bit louder. There we go, we can hear them now. Apologies for that. I turned everything down the other day, so I had to turn my mixer down. And with it, the car sounds have gone with it, and I only realised now because yesterday I was doing Porsches, and they're very loud. So here comes Josh Rayfield, then out the final corner, takes plenty of runoff out of Murray's. Is that lap going to count? That's the important thing here. Now Draycott has got, I think, Andy Fox behind him. No, it's Michael Blake. He's giving slipstream to these guys. Rayfield 21.5, that's quick. Blake 21.4. Dent 21.6. Silkstone 21.5. Liam Silkstone, second fastest at the moment. Great stuff from him. His teammate Brian Crowell's did not have a lap that counted. Derek Robb's just come out of the pits in the number 9 Team Jane Fonda car. Niall Crowther goes 6th. Andy Fox goes 6th and puts Niall down to 7th. Now Draycott was in the middle of that and has not put in a time that's counted yet. 15 minutes of qualifying though, so plenty of time to get it done. Luke Austin goes 8th. No one around him. He's got the clean air. He did this at Donington Park. He's nearly in the air there as he goes around turn 1. But Luke did this. Now, David and I were watching the absolute snake of cars make their way around Donington Park during qualifying, and everybody was trying to make sure they weren't giving slipstream to other people. But then Draycott ran to the front. A lot of them compressed together, and they didn't get clean laps in. But Luke was all on his own at the back, and he was just chilling, making the most of his clean air to put some good laps in, and he's doing it again here. Into Brundle and Nelson, you can see just as you turn it in, the car wants to get away. Rayfield goes top, 21.3. Oh, as Luke's run very wide there. Steve Burke goes third with a 21.4. Calvin Dent, 21.4 as well. Look how close it is between the top 4 drivers. That's crazy. Draycott does a 21.6. He's only 2 tenths off. Crowles goes 10th. Not even a second off the pace. This is one of those circuits that really does throw up a different result, because there's not many corners round here to get wrong. A lot of it is just straights. Dan McCauley goes 10th. Out the final corner he goes. You can just hear the tyres screaming in the background, praying for mercy. Michael Elliott has gone off the circuit and back to the pits, but so far it's Josh Rayfield that is fastest. And in terms of qualifying this season, let me just check what Josh has managed to secure. No points from qualifying this season, actually. Josh's best result was a second place in round 3 of the championship at Silverstone. Calvin Dent up there still in second. Michael Blake third. Carl Jacquelet goes third. Great stuff from Carl. Carl has a 3rd place and a win to his name this season. Obviously his first win in the British Boring Car Championship coming at Alton Park. Steve Burke has gone way off the circuit. The lights have come on already, by the way. So we have headlights on the cars before we've even got qualifying out of the way. Now last season I think the lights came on partway through race 1, so we're probably going to have a lot more darkness than we had last time as well, because we've set it to the actual date in sim. It is the 26th of November in the sim, so the sun will be setting very, very quickly indeed, which is what you want. These drivers will really have to drive around the conditions. Dan McCauley still in 10th. We've only got 1.8 seconds covering the field, and Josh Rayfield is only 16 thousandths of a second off pole. There's a 10th and a half covering the top 6, which is just mega in itself. Liam Silkstone, he's unlocked something here as Liam. He's got Derek Robb going down his inside. Not sure whether Derek's on a fast lap, but we'll see. Launches it into the final corner very sideways. Now if you're Liam, you're thinking, oh heck, I'm going to get a run on him here. This isn't really what I want. A couple of drivers on outlaps now. Brian Crowles does a personal best. He's 12th at the moment. Now what's going to happen here? Because Silkstone is catching Robb in a straight line. Silkstone pulls over. Derek Robb carries on. A bit of a bounce around turn 1. Up to Wilson. Into the hairpin on the brakes. You can see, oh, he just runs wide and he knows it's not good, so he's pulled over as well. Michael Elliott. He's only 6 tenths off at the minute as well, and he's down in 11th position. Don't forget though, 10th place on the grid gets reversed to pole, but as a bit of incentive you get 3 points for qualifying fastest, you get 2 points for second and 1 for third. And we've seen before that 1 or 2 points can change a championship completely, so qualifying does hold some incentive for these drivers to go quicker. Cross line goes Michael Elliott. No improvement from him. It's a 122.1. His fastest is a 122.04. So not far off his fastest there. There's only 4 thousandths of a second between Carl Jacquelet and Michael Blake as well. But at the moment, Dan McCauley will be starting from the front of the grid if it continues this way. Andy Fox will be second and Derek Robb will be third. But it'll be Calvin Dent getting 3 championship points. Josh Rayfield will get his first championship points of the season from qualifying. And Carl Jacquelet, he's had some good qualifying results as well, actually, so far this season. Carl himself has got a 3rd place, I think it was at Silverstone, as Rayfield goes back to the top at 21.362, 17 thousandths of a second faster than Michael Blake. And still, only just over a 10th.5 covering the top 6 now. Not even a quarter of a second covering the top 7 down to Draycott. Barely half a second covering the top 10. This is epic stuff. Niall Crowther is looking to improve. He's down in 14th position at the moment. We'll see how Niall gets on here. 128.6. Must have been an outlap. Michael Elliott goes up a position. He goes ahead of Andy Fox and Dan McCauley. So he is now essentially lining up second on the grid. As Dan McCauley sideways there around turn 1. Look at Niall really tucking that car into the apex at Wilson. Gets on the throttle, down the straight he goes. We've still got 5 minutes of this qualifying session left. But don't forget, one of the main things with iRacing's heat racing system, once the session gets to 15 minutes, once it ticks over to that exact time, that's it. The cars do disappear on the spot. Oh, as Niles made a mess of it, unfortunately. Here's Draycott just going around Coram into the final corner at Murray's. Carries plenty of speed through there. Good run on the exit. Is that what he needed to put him further up the order? Stays nice and smooth over to the left. He's got Steve Burke behind him on track. Draycott 121.7. He's done a 121.6 as his fastest. Steve Burke does a 121.6 as well. His best is a 21.48. So no improvement there. Who's close to finishing a lap? Niall Crowther is just about to cross the line, but we saw him go off. Michael Jones has just come out the final corner as well. 1.8 seconds off at the minute. A 123.23 to beat for Michael. That's a 124.6. Luke Austin has just come out the final corner as well. He's about to cross the line. What can he do? He's 6th at the moment. Brilliant qualifying from Luke. Only a 10th.5 off the fastest. So bearing in mind that Luke doesn't have much iRacing experience, he's doing a really good job in this championship already, because these guys, trust me, are very, very quick in this Jetta. Andy Fox was just saying the other day he did an official I can't remember the name of the series now, as Brian Crowles doesn't improve. Draycott around the final corner again, runs wide. Andy Fox was saying he did a certain official race the other day, and the Jettas are actually at Alton Park this week. I think it's the Global Challenge or something like that. As Burke goes fastest. Steve Burke by 24 thousandths of a second. Mega stuff from Steve. He told me that he had ambition tonight. I can't tell you how he phrased it, but he had ambition tonight, did Steve. And there you go. To the top of the standings instantly. 121.338 is very quick indeed. But yeah, Andy Fox was in an official race around Alton Park Fosters, which we have visited this season in this car, and he said he won the race by 25 seconds. So it's not just in this championship that these guys are quick, they're quick in general. But wow, Steve Burke, what an effort that is. Michael Blake has gone off at turn 1, so too has Josh Rayfield, pushing a bit too hard. Dan McCauley is down to 12th now, and he's only 5 thousandths off Andy Fox as well. Is he going to miss out on the reverse grid and potential championship points as Carl Jacquelet runs wide behind him? Dan's been really trying hard in this car. Burke has gone back to the pit lane, so I think that's going to be it for him. I don't think we're going to see him back out in this session, so can anybody beat him? McCauley out the final corner. Down the straight he goes. Jacquelet comes back in the pits. That's the end of his qualifying session. McCauley across the line. The Team Jane Fonda, goes 10th. He gains just a couple of thousandths, but that puts him 10th. Importantly, that would put him on the very front row. Now, the two cars that want to try and beat that is Michael Elliott and Andy Fox. Elliott must be on a quick one because he's hugging the inside line. What can he do now? Can he go up to 10th? No, he can't. Andy Fox is partway around a lap. Was that Michael Blake behind? It was. No improvement from Michael, but that puts him on a hot lap. I'm not sure whether he'll get time to complete that, you know. Dan McCauley might get time to complete his, but where is Andy Fox? Here he is. Michael Blake's gone off the circuit. Andy takes a very late turn in at Coram. You can see the car wiggling around. Hugs the white line nicely onto the brakes, chucks it in. Does he take any curb? He doesn't. That was a beautiful run through there. I'm not sure if he'll get an incident point for running wide on the exit. But out the final corner comes Andy Fox. A bit aggressive as he moves over to the right, though. That may have lost him a bit of speed. This will probably be the last time we see in the session. He doesn't improve. And Michael Elliott comically kisses the wall. Dan McCauley out the final corner. He doesn't really want to improve on that time because he's sat 10th now. And that will put him to the very front of the grid. Ian Fox, good to see you, mate. What can Dan do? Will he go any quicker? Crosses the line, and he doesn't. So that means then that Steve Burke gets 3 championship points. Josh Rayfield gets 2. His first points from qualifying this season. And Calvin Dent gets 1. But Dan McCauley and his teammate Derek Rogg make it a Team Jane Fonda front row after seeing neither of them last week. Then we have Matt Draycott and Liam Silkstone with Luke Austin 5th and Michael Blake 6th. Carl Jacquelet 7th ahead of Calvin Dent. He wants championship points today. Josh Rayfield 9th and Steve Burke 10th. Michael Elliott 11th ahead of Andy Fox, who needs a good first race here. Brian Crowell's 13th. Niall Crowther 14th. And Michael Jones at the back of the grid in 15th place. But already then, as we get ready to go racing under lights in the British Boring Car Championship, round 11 from Snetterton is away. Oh, and Michael Jones in the background has driven into the wall. Look at Draycott off the line. What a start by Matt Draycott. Dan McCauley bogged down a little bit, but Draycott to the lead already. Silkstone got a good start as well. He's gone past Dan McCauley. Dan's now dropped down to 4th place from the very front. Everybody seeming to behave themselves around the first couple of corners. We're going to go on the blimp cam and just keep an eye on what goes on here. Into the back of Luke Austin goes Jacquelet, then Dent, then Burke. There's a bit of a check-up. What happens in the midfield? A little bit of argy-bargy between McCauley and Silkstone. But it looked all right through there. Dan's got the run. Now Austin trying to get away from Michael Blake. But what a start from Matt Draycott. He needs to make his intentions clear here because Jake Robertson, obviously not here tonight, current championship leader. Now Draycott's got Derek Robb right behind him. We'll have to keep an eye on this, though. It's side by side into Brundle Nelson. McCauley's got 3rd. Oh, there's a bit of contact. And is that Carl Jacquelet off the circuit? It is. He had a bit of a tap through there, a bit of help, I think. But now Derek Robb has actually lost a bit of pace out of Brundle and Nelson from Matt Draycott. The 2 Team Jane Fonda cars still up there as things stand. Just behind Luke Austin, though. Michael Blake and Josh Rayfield right together. We'll go on the rear view cam from Luke Austin. Down the straight here at Snetterton to put the first lap in the books. Don't forget the sun will continue to go down as the evening goes on. So the second race will be very dark indeed. As Luke runs very hot through there. Michael Blake gets a bit of a run on him. Josh Rayfield wants a piece of this as well. Calvin Dent running wide just behind. It's important for Calvin Dent as Josh Rayfield down the inside. Oh, there's a bit of a tap on Luke Austin's car. He's over the curb. Steve Burke tries to get in there with Michael Blake. I think there was a bit of a touch there as well. Calvin Dent's going to capitalise on that now as well, surely, as they come out of there. A little bit of damage to the front left of Steve's car. Now Rayfield and Austin are side by side just ahead as well. Josh gets past in a straight line. Luke gives him the room around the outside. A little bit of a wobble on the way in. Oh, and he gets a smack in the rear from Michael Blake. He's now got Steve Burke behind. He was saying just how much he loved racing Steve after the last round. Let's see if they put that into practice here. Michael hates this circuit, trust me. Calvin Dent, what's in? Brian Crowell's as well. A bit of a train going on here. They need to be careful of these incident points. Don't forget, 15 incident points, and you get a drive-through. We saw Calvin become a victim of the train getting very close together at Donington. As Niall runs a bit wide there with the two Team Netcode cars behind him. He's got Andy Fox just ahead. The gap at the front, though, is very small indeed. Derek Robb is now right on the back of Matt Draycott with Dan McCauley going with him. Derek tries to go around the outside of turn 1, doesn't work. He slows up a little bit. Now Dan McCauley hopping around all over the curb. Liam Silkstone gets in on this as well. He's side by side with him. Oh, there's more contact. Oh, Liam's car's gone off big time. How did he survive that and get back on? Oh, Rayfield drills him at Wilson. Liam goes across the grass to try and recover. What happened there, boys? Oh, Draycott's actually been off the circuit. That's what caused it. Draycott went off the track, surely out of the final corner then. Yeah, he did. He's gone way too hot into there. That's what gave him the difference. Now, look at this here. So Dan McCauley's on the curb. Gets a big jump there. Liam Silkstone goes to the left. There's a bit of a tap. And then as Liam comes back on, it's hard to say from that angle. And Josh arrives on the scene very quickly and unfortunately drills Liam in the side there. Not brilliant stuff from those boys there, but it's 2 Team Red Ring cars and 2 Team Jane Fonda cars in the top 4 now. As in the background, it's very close in this train of cars. We've got Steve Burke behind Luke Austin. Liam Silkstone and Brian Crowles are together. Surely Liam's got to come in the pits. He does. It's a real shame for Liam that. He was on for some good points there. Now this is Andy Fox trying to get past Calvin Dent. He's got a great run out the final corner. Not sure whether Calvin has got some damage on the... Well, he has got some damage on the front of his car, but I'm not sure whether that's affecting him. Whether it was just that one. Let's have a look here what happened to Calvin. I'm not sure, but this to me... That's a very big run from Andy Fox. Very strange. Carl Jacquelette's gone off. Oh, what's happened to Jacquelette? Calvin Dent's had an issue as well. Niall passed Calvin for P10. Let's see what shenanigans go on here. Oh, flying down the inside goes Niall. And oh, Jacquelette just goes off on his own in the background. Niall and Calvin stayed side by side and Niall got away. Looks like this is big for the championship because Calvin's got no run out the corners. Calvin's got some serious damage. Something very wrong with that car here. It's gone board. It's just not pulling revs, is it? That's very strange. It's close between the 2 Team Jane Fonda teammates. I say close. Dan McCauley's just got past his teammate Derek Robb. Pair of them side by side down the straight. The more they battle, though, Draycott will get away. He's just done the fastest lap of the race. He's after that 5th win to tie with Dennis Melchit's all-time record of 5 race wins in the British Boring Car Championship. Dan McCauley wants to go after him, though. We know Dan's quick. He's just not had any luck so far this season. Calvin Dent's in the pits. I really do wonder what's happened to his car. Here's Michael Ellett just down the inside of Niall Crowther. That's for the final points position as well, P10. So Ellett wants some championship points. So too does Andy Fox. We've got this great battle in the middle, though. We've got Josh Rayfield, who's 1.2 seconds ahead of Michael Blake. Then he's got Luke Austin and Steve Burke queuing up behind him as they go into Brundle and Nelson. A little bit sideways there for Michael Blake. Steve Burke, obviously the fastest in qualifying, has shown that he's got the pace when he gets the clean lap in. But Luke Austin, he's doing a great job so far. He started 5th on the grid. He qualified 6th. So that reverse grid put him 5th. And he's holding on really well, is Luke Austin. Very pleased for him. Oh, we've got Dan McCauley running wide out the final corner. He's off after Draycott, though. We'll compare the lap times this time round. Draycott trying to break the toe, make sure the slipstream doesn't help Dan. 122.2 for Draycott, 121.8 for Dan, and Josh Rayfield a 121.6. He's flying, but look at that. Michael Blake and Luke Austin battling away. We'll go on board with, well, I'll tell you what, we'll go on board with Steve Burke so you get a view of all of this from the outside. Luke's car's got a little bit of a dent in the back of it after his contact with Carl on lap 1. Oh, Steve clips the grass, puts his foot in. Brilliant save from Steve Burke. Great to be on board for that. Wow. Manages to save it, but gets a poor run on the exit. Look at that, the cars are just running away from him. Calvin Dent's still in the pits. Not a clue what's happened there to Calvin. He's come back in the pits again. Such a shame for Calvin as we go back on board with the tyre squealing madness. Now Luke Austin is putting in a real good fight here, trying to get past Michael Blake. Is Michael going to go defensive? Luke just looks down the inside before Coram. He's racing in VR. Don't think Michael is. Onto the brakes, into Murray's. Michael goes in a little bit hot. Is Luke going to get a better run than him out of here now? We'll go on board. He has, and now the slipstream's going to help him as well. Which way is he going to go? You can see the what they call the LCAs, lower control arms, on the bottom of the Jetta. You can see the top four just ahead. 2 Team Red Ring cars and 2 Team Jane Fonda cars, so both of those teams doing well in terms of points for the teams championship. Steve Burke and Luke Austin launching it over the grass. Steve Burke's got a great run down the inside of Luke Austin, very late on the brakes. Nice stuff from Steve, very opportunistic, up into 6th position, but that means that Michael Blake's got a bit of daylight now. He's got nearly 8/10 of a second. Someone that hasn't got 8/10 of a second is Matt Draycott ahead of Dan McCauley. That gap is coming down a lot. It's 2/10 of a second. Now it's 1/10 and a half. Dan's looking down the inside. Not close enough to do anything yet. Still 6 minutes of this race to go. Will Draycott feel the pressure from Dan McCauley? We know how quick Dan can be. He didn't really have the pace in qualifying, but I know his race pace is much better. What can the young Scotsman do? He's got 2 Scottish drivers in Team Jane Fonda cars chasing him down as Draycott. Has always gone hot again into Murray's. Runs a bit wide on the exit. Again, we'll go on the nose cam, just see what the difference is. Matt actually looks like he got a better run out of there. But now the slipstream comes into effect. Luke Austin's come in the pits though. Oh, he must have got a drive through. That's a real shame for Luke. He was doing so well. Lead independent as well is Luke Austin. See via the blue squares on the left. Now Josh Rayfield is closing in on this fight ever so slightly. Just not enough to make any inroads yet. We're 10 minutes of the way through. 2 seconds behind this is Michael Blake and Steve Burke. Now I want to see this battle reignited because these two are fighting in the championship as well. So for 5th and 6th positions, they'll have 1 point difference, so they'll be tied on points in the championship if they finish where they are now, which would be epic. There were some kind words for Steve from Michael last week as well about battling him, which was great. Brian Crowell's doing a good job. He's getting 6 places so far. He's the biggest mover in the field. Josh Rayfield has gained 5. Niall Crowther has gained 4 to get up into the points. Luke Austin, though, that's such a shame for Luke to have dropped out of the points like that. But the closest 2 cars on track at the moment, always we've had an off for Brian Crowell's. The closest 2 cars are actually Michael Blake and Steve Burke, but they're being rivalled by Draycott and McCauley. So for the race lead, does Draycott need to overly defend, or does he just go for championship points now? Jake is not here for this. Does he just think, oh, I'm only going to lose 3 points if I let Dan get the win and I get second? But look at that behind. You've got Derek Robb and then Josh Rayfield in there as well. Not that you can see them on that camera view, but there they are. And then behind this, Michael Blake and Steve Burke are right together now. We'll look back. Do we dare? There is Steve Burke's Nodaphone car closing in down the back straight, down the Bentley straight. And look at that at the front of his shot as well. Dan McCauley looking down the inside into Brundle. Nelson goes for the race lead, gets the race lead. Dan McCauley with the clinical move takes the lead in the British Boring Car Championship for the first time. And now what can Derek Robb do about trying to get a Team Jane Fonda 1-2? Because at the moment in the Teams Championship, they're having no luck at all. They've got 16 points total. You get 15 points for a race win, so that'll completely change their championship. You've got to think that Calvin Dent really needs a miracle now because he's, well, out of this race. Dan McCauley's gone off, though. Out of Murray's, so is Draycott going to get the run? Steve Burke has got past Michael Blake and they're still side by side, but we need to look at the lead battle because this is ever so close with 2.5 minutes left to go. Down the straight then, towards Riches. Long right-hander, don't bang wheels, gents, keep it nice and tidy. Derek Robb tucks to the inside. Josh Rayfield's watching this, Derek's just inching over to the left. Is he going to go down the inside of Draycott into the Wilson hairpin? Oh, there's a bit of contact. Door to door, and Josh Rayfield is through. He says thank you very much. Liam Silkstone's come back in the pits in the background. And Michael Blake's got back past Steve Burke again. Brilliant stuff. We'll have a look back and see what happens in a minute, but Dan McCauley still leads this race, but he's got 2 Team Red Ring cars right behind who are capitalising on their opportunity to open up their team's championship lead at the moment. Team Jane Fonda are just looking to open their account. Steve Burke and Michael Blake again side by side. Oh, a little bit of a touch there. Wheel bang really slows Michael's car down for some reason. A bit of odd physics at play there. He's now got Brian Crowell's all over him. And then Andy Fox as well. Andy's desperate for points at the moment. But this is the lead battle. It's unbelievable. We've got 1 minute and 20 seconds left on the clock, so this will be the final lap of the race. Now is Rayfield just going to act as rear gunner for Matt Draycott so he can go after and attack Dan McCauley, because Derek Robb seems to be dropping off a little bit. And oh, Michael Blake's coming into the pits. No. Oh, I really hope that contact wasn't what gave him the drive-through. That'd be horrible. Now Rayfield needs to be careful he doesn't hit his own teammate here, because he was so close to the back of him through turn 1. He brakes early, gets out of it. Now Draycott needs to make sure he gets a good run out of here to try and get the slipstream on Dan McCauley, but it looks like Dan is getting away. Could he be on for his first British Boring Car Championship win and only his second race meeting that he's been in? It'd be a great show from Dan. You could argue that he was given an easy ride starting on pole because of the reverse grid, but at the end of the day he dropped it on the first lap and lost that lead. Draycott's gone in a bit hot into Brundle Nelson. Surely that's opened it up for Dan. Rayfield now getting held up a little bit behind his teammate, but the pair of them can be very happy with this, because Draycott with this would retake the championship. No, he wouldn't retake the championship lead actually. He'd still be 1 point off Jake Robertson, but into the final corner Dan McCauley, an unlikely winner in the British Boring Car Championship, is gonna get it done. Smashing stuff from Dan. Beautiful drive, great recovery. Well done to Dan McCauley. Wins round 11. Team Red Ring, 2 cars on the podium. Team Jane Fonda, 2 cars in the top 4. Steve Burke gets 5th place. Andy Fox is 6th ahead of Brian Crowell's in 7th. And Michael Elliott is going to get points. And Niall Crowther as well. And Carl Jacquelet. But you've got to feel sorry for Michael Blake and Luke Austin and Liam Silkstone. Oh, Michael clearly not happy. He's chucked the car into the wall, and will Luke smash into him? Of course he will. Good lad. Wow. Wow, oh wow. But wow, oh wow indeed for Dan McCauley. What a brilliant drive that was. Did a mega job to recover from that poor start. Draycott smashed it off the line and got away, but still Team Red Ring will be happy with that, to have taken 2 very important championship positions there. 2nd and 3rd in that race will have given them a combined 22 points over Bordeaux's 0 from that race. So we'll give you the race results then for the first race of the evening. Dan McCauley takes his first win in the British Boring Car Championship ahead of Matt Draycott and Josh Rayfield. Team Jane Fonda and Team Red Ring having a great battle in that one there. That was awesome fun. Nodaphone, Steve Burke finishes in 5th with Andy Fox 6th. Good championship points for him. Brian Crowell's and Michael Elliott doing a good job to get more points as well, with Niall Crowther in 9th and Carl Jacquelet rounding out your points in 10th. Michael Blake just misses out by a couple of seconds after a drive-through. Luke Austin still wins the Independence though, in 12th overall, with Michael Jones 13th, Liam Silkstone 3 laps down, and Calvin Dent 7 laps down as well. And to be honest, it may not be in he may not be in the best mood for this at the minute, but to be honest, I'd quite like to speak to Mr. Dent and see what the situation was, because it didn't look like it was a normal scenario. Calvin, are you there, buddy? I don't think he is. I think he might have gone for a minute, understandably. So we'll put him back in. Someone who we will grab, actually, because we've wanted to speak to him about it, and obviously this now gives us our perfect opportunity. Our new race winner in the British Boring Car Championship, Dan McCauley. Dan, did you expect to be able to do that from pole, mate?
Well, I expected to be able to do it from pole, but when I started and all of a sudden I'm third, then it kind of doubted myself. But yeah, no, it's a good race.
And what did you find with Matt getting such a good start and your teammates swamping you? What was the first thing that went through your mind?
I didn't really know if the accelerator was all the way down, to be honest. But yeah, I don't really know what to do with the starts yet. Still trying to figure that one out. But it was after they got past, it was I thought I had the pace because in qualified I'd off-tracked a lap that would have put me P2, so it was just take it easy and see if I can chip them off towards the end.
And you certainly did that, mate, and it looked like a good battle as well. I mean, neither of you wanted to give an inch there. Obviously you had your teammate backing you up and then Matt's teammate Josh Rayfield backing him up. It was a great 2-on-2, wasn't it?
Yeah, I kind of inadvertently got Derek up there with me. It wasn't intentional, but yeah, it seemed to work quite well.
Well, it certainly looked like a lot of fun, mate. Well done, obviously, on your first win there, because it's a mega performance, and hopefully we can see you have a good drive in the second one.
Yeah, hopefully I can repeat it. I just need to try and remember how this second race works now.
Well, you'll be starting from pole position again, so it's half an hour with a pit stop, and you have to take 2 tyres, so just don't forget the tyres and you'll be good. Nice
one. Hopefully be speaking to you after the second race then.
Fingers crossed, mate. Speak to you in a bit.
See you in a bit.
New race winner there, Dan McCauley, takes his first win in the championship, and very deserving as well. Here is Carl Jackalite. We'll be hoping for more after this one, because that wasn't the easiest of races for him, but he still managed to get a point out of it. And it's obviously going to get darker and darker now, as this second race is going to get very dark indeed. You can see just the difference now from the first race. The lighting has most certainly dropped. And Niall Crowther just getting that extra bit of practice in. I do want to see if we can still grab a word with Calvin and see if he's there. Calvin, are you there, buddy? No, still nothing, unfortunately, but we'll hopefully hear from Calvin a little bit later and see what the situation is there. Either way, if it's a hardware thing, then hopefully he's got it fixed, because we need Calvin to try and chase down Matt and Jake in the championship. After that race, though, I can confirm that Matt is 1 point behind Jake as things stand. So anything he gains now will be, well, he needs to obviously gain 1 point to tie with him, but then anything on top of that will be a championship lead. Calvin will have dropped down even further, unfortunately. He'll still be 22 points off Jake, but that gap to Matt will now be getting wider and wider, so we need to see a good drive from him in this second one. I hope you're enjoying the show once again. Some more epic racing in the British Boring Car Championship. Niall there just weaving the car around. It is good to see these cars getting properly ragged around a circuit like Snetterton, and you say that and you see Andy Fox wobbling around all over the place. Around the right hander he goes, a bomb hole, very difficult corner to get right. Coram is just an absolute nightmare though. I mean, no matter what you're in, Coram is a challenging corner. It used to obviously be a bit straighter and then into a smaller chicane at Murray's, but then they edited it and made it one really long corner into a braking zone to make it that extra bit challenging. We'll go on a blimp camera, shall we? You can see just how bright the headlights are in this car. Jason in the chat, good to see you, mate. Hope you're well. And good to see you, Anton Dupan. Sorry, mate, I didn't see your comments in there. I hope you're well, buddy. Again, hope you're enjoying the show, everybody. Plenty going on once again here in the British Boring Car Championship. We have just a few minutes left of this warm-up session then. But in case you missed it, Dan McCauley won the sprint race from Matt Draycott and Josh Rayfield after a fantastic 2-on-2 battle between the two Team Jane Fonda cars and the two Team Red Ring machines. But Team Jane Fonda in that race alone got 23 points. And before this race meeting, they only had 16. As Andy Fox has a lively moment, to say the least, out the final corner there. Let's have another little look at that while the session ticks on down. Round car understeering, launches it in, takes a big chunk of curb, the whole car bouncing on the gravel with two of the wheels, and then the other way, and then on the grass for a bit of grass tracking. Steve Burke's back out there after he topped the times in qualifying and had a good race, to be fair. It's a shame about the incident with Michael. But this is going to get very dark indeed now. It's going to get hard to tell who some of the drivers are into this final race. Not many out there in practice at the moment. We don't often get that many drivers out there, to be honest, in these practice sessions. Some of them just take it as a chance to go and get a drink, just maybe something to eat. But some of them just think, right, well, the track's developing, so we'll just get a couple of laps in and just see what times we can do. You can see it is getting darker and darker, and I can't wait. That's a quick lap, that is, as well, by Michael Elliott, 122.2. I'm excited to see what this one holds. Don't forget, half an hour race coming up with a pit stop. And the drivers must change at least 2 tyres in the pit stop and take fuel. And it should be pitch black by the time this race is done. We've got a minute and a half left of warm-up. And then we'll be good to go. Michael Elliott then chucking the car around. We'll go on board for a moment with Michael, and you can see how the visibility ahead is just dying off. Matt Draycott was saying earlier he's racing in VR and he cannot see past the headlights on this circuit once it goes properly dark. So it'll be interesting to see how the drivers manage. Obviously, these guys will all have different visual settings, different screens maybe, different settings in VR, different monitors, you know. A lot of variables in terms of what these drivers will be able to see as this final race is upon us. So sometimes that can be the difference between being quick and seeing your braking markers and not being able to see braking markers, I suppose. But any moment now, the session will tick over and we'll be ready to have our second race of the evening here in the British Boring Car Championship. Andy Fox chucks it in very, very sideways indeed. Nicely done, sir. He now flies into the pits at full chat, slams on the anchors and puts it up the banking. Love it. Great stuff from Andy. And any second now, here we go. They will tick over and we'll have, for the second time tonight, our grid for this feature race. So race 1 winner Dan McCauley starts on pole alongside Matt Draycott, with Josh Rayfield and Derek Robb on row 2. Then it's Steve Burke and Andy Fox, Brian Crowles and Michael Elliott, with Niall Crowther and Carl Jackalette on row 5. Michael Blake will be coming through from the back from 12th, same with Luke Austin, Michael Jones, Liam Silkstone, and keep an eye out for Calvin Dent as well at the end of this one. Hopefully, if Calvin has made it in. Because don't forget, him and Draycott need to capitalise tonight, because no Jake Robertson in this final race. We're just waiting for Derek Robb. There he is. Waiting for Brian Crowles, Liam Silkstone and Calvin Dent. Here's Brian. Boop. And it looks like that's going to be the start of it. So unfortunately, 2 cars down already. But round 12 of the British Boring Car Championship is away. Another good start from Draycott. McCauley much better off the line this time. Derek Robb didn't quite get away as well as he would have wanted. Side by side onto turn 1, everyone almost staying 2 by 2. Draycott runs a little bit deep into turn 1, gives Dan the room around the outside. Josh Rayfield trying to go with him. Draycott's got the lead. Rayfield's got second. Again, let's go to Blimpy Boy so we can see what's going on. Oh, Burke's gone into the back of McCauley. Dan manages to hold it. Josh Rayfield squeezes down the inside. There's a bit of a bunch up in the middle. Looks like Steve Burke's going to go past Dan on the left. Brian Crowles is boxed in between Derek Robb and Andy Fox. Derek's had a bit of a nightmare start. Dan McCauley's dropped 3 places. Steve filters in front of Dan. Dan goes straight back out to the left-hand side, but Draycott is out in front then. Rayfield second. Look at that in the middle. Andy Fox and Carl Jackalette side by side into Brundle and Nelson. Oh, we've got Matt Draycott, Josh Rayfield, both off the circuit. Josh is gone. Where is Josh? Oh, wow. Josh is properly over. I thought he just ran wide like his teammate did. But Josh, on the first lap of the race, has thrown it away. Is he going to hit the curb and roll it? Oh, he is. It's a huge roll for Josh Ray. He doesn't even roll it. He just slides along on its roof. Comical fashion, but we'll be fuming with that. Michael Jones has just got past Niall Crowther. Michael Blake's in there as well. On his left is Luke Austin. Oh, careful down here, boys. Niall Crowther has to get out of it. They're 2 by 2. Michael Jones side by side with Michael Elliott. Michael Jones, biggest mover in the field at the moment. He's gained 5 positions. Around the outside of Michael Elliott. Very sideways through Riches. Elliott bouncing around in the air. Niall Crowther gives Luke Austin a bit of a shove on the exit as well. We've got tyre smoke ahead. Steve Burke just ahead of Dan McCauley. Matt Draycott still leads the race. Jackalette behind Crowles, then Andy Fox. Then we've got a big gap back to Michael Jones in this rabble. The car on his roof is a Volkswagen, says Anton Dupin. Very true. Down the straight they go towards us, but look at that train ahead. Steve Burke now trying to hold on ahead of Dan. He's not holding on to anything there. Way out wide. Through the bomb hole they go. Dan McCauley back down the inside. The two of them together. They're going to go around Coram now. Dan hugs the inside line. Steve gets a bit of a wiggle and runs wide. Is he just going to concede? It's a half-hour race. Plenty of time to go. So you don't need to worry about it at this point, but he needs to think about Draycott trying to get away. He gets a good run, actually, out of Murray's. Tucks up right behind him. Oh, Luke Austin. It looked like he got very sideways in the background of the shot there. But he managed to get a run on Niall Crowther. Michael Blake's trying to get through the field as well, just in front of them. These two side by side. Oh, Steve Burke's gone past Dan McCauley round the outside. But is he going to make it stick as they go towards the Wilson hairpin? Dan's moving over to the left. Steve moving over to the right. Steve wants to defend it and gets the job done. Now what can Brian Crowles do? He started 7th on the grid. He's up to 5th, having a great run here. Carl Jackalette's got Andy Fox tucked up right behind him. I'll go on board with Andy. See what it looks like. You can see how much darker it's getting now. 3.5 minutes of the way through. Love the bridge before Brundle and Nelson. You can see the train ahead behind Steve Burke. Andy's gone in a bit hot there. Run wide on the way through Brundle, and then he doesn't get a run out of Nelson. That hurts him bad. Draycott's had a bit of a bad lap as well, actually. Steve Burke has really caught up with him, so this whole train of the top 7 cars is still stuck together. Look at the wobbling and the bouncing from Draycott onto the brakes into Murray's. Oh, he's gone deep. Steve's going to get the run surely out of there. Steve told me that he's going to win a race tonight. He's trying to live up to that at the moment. He started 5th on the grid. He's now 2nd, and he wants to take the race lead from Draycott. Dan McCauley wants it as well. Steve does his fastest lap. Jackalette does his fastest lap. Steve carries the speed all the way around the outside of Draycott, who hits the curb, bounces heavily. Steve gets in front. Where can Dan McCauley go? Derek Robb's there as well. Dan's down the inside on the brakes. Past Draycott he goes. Does he make it stick? Oh, that's close through the second part. There's contact. Draycott runs him out of room. Dan McCauley's off the road. And Dan McCauley loses out big time because of that. Now Andy Fox and Carl Jackalette have swapped round for P6. But just in front though, Brian Crowles is now stuck between Derek Robb, who's right on the back of Draycott, and Dan McCauley, the two Team Jane Fonda cars. Draycott's going back for the race lead down the inside of Steve Burke. Brave stuff. Now Derek Robb wants a piece of it. Nobody wants to win this race. We were saying this last time out, me and David. Last time we were here at night at Snetterton. Steve Burke still does lead it though. Into Murray's. Everyone taking their own lines. Derek Robb runs a bit wide. after bouncing on the curb. Flipping heck. Oh, Michael Jones has gone off the circuit. Oh, Michael Jones has gone more than off the circuit. He's off the planet. That's a huge accident for Michael Jones. The car doing its thing. Surely he's lost it on the way into Murray's. He's going to hit the grass on the left-hand side of your shot. No, he's just... Oh, he's hit the curb so hard, the car has just rolled over. And then when the wheels dig in on the Jetta, it just flips it in the sky. Like that. Oh, it's such a shame for Michael. Potential points finish for him as well. Dan McCauley's lost another place. Andy Fox getting through this time. Dan's not having much luck at this hairpin. He's getting run out of road by everybody. It's a bit of a touch in front from Brian Crowles. Oh, Dan just doesn't get the run out there, I'm afraid. Now Carl Jacquelette's trying to come through and get past Dan McCauley, but Carl's taking himself off. Oh, Carl's off and in the wall. That's a freebie for Dan to keep. He's dropped off this battle a bit. I'm wondering whether that's something to do with the damage, but that was a real shame for Carl Jacquelette. That now drops him out of the points. Luke Austin now into the points, just behind Niall Crowther. Michael Blake just ahead. He's gained 3 places so far, but Steve Burke still leads this race. Now don't forget the pit window is between 10 minutes to 25 minutes in race time. And the biggest battle on track is for the lead. And this is the beauty of Snetterton. The slipstream down here, very important. Andy Fox is in with a chance of this race as well, and he'll be very pleased about that because Andy's had rotten luck this season. He uses plenty of luck around turn 1. Up towards Wilson. Onto the brakes he goes. It's so hard to get a run out of there, but speaking of, Brian Crowles has got a run on Derek Robb. Now this is what Draycott and Burke want. They want some of the guys behind to start fighting. Luke Austin seems to be running out quite sideways in the background. I think he's just trying to get past Niall Crowther. Brian Crowles, though, doing a good job in 4th at the moment. Holding on. Oh, they all run some sort of wide. Luke Austin has got past Niall Crowther into Brundle and Nelson. Nearly a bit of contact. Michael Elliott's just gone off the circuit in front of them. He's just ahead of Michael Blake. And oh, that was a car off. That was Carl Jacquelette again. That's the 2nd lap in a row that Carl Jacquelette's gone off there. It's a dummy corner for Carl. Now this is the 2 Michaels, Michael Elliott and Michael Blake. Blake looking considerably quicker at the moment. It's close again between Derek Robb and Brian Crowles. Like I said, Draycott and Burke want this. They want a battle to develop behind them. Andy Fox wants it so he can try and take advantage of it. Josh Rayfield is not circulating anymore, I'm afraid. Josh has decided that's his race run. Down the inside goes Brian Crowles on Derek Robb. Compromises his run on the exit. Dan McCauley seems to have no pace down here now. Let's have a quick look at the speed that Andy Fox gets up to. Is he going to hit 200 Ks at that 3 marker? To be fair, Dan's actually going quicker than Andy in a straight line, so it's all fair game at the moment. Damage isn't hurting him. Oh, big jump from Brian Crowles, big jump from Derek Robb. Andy Fox takes advantage of it beautifully. Down the inside he goes and into 4th place. Steve Burke breaking away a little bit at the front. He's got a 6/10 of a second gap over Matt Draycott. Derek Robb is now that same distance clear of Andy Fox. And then Dan McCauley is suddenly back on to the rear of this train. Brian Crowles gets a bit of a poor run out of there. Dan McCauley now onto the back of him. Down the straight they go. The gap is getting smaller and smaller, but not by much. Michael Blake is also doing the same to Michael Elliott. A couple of seconds back from this. This is on board with Michael Blake. You can see how well I've placed that netcode logo on the car, can't you? Michael Blake obviously won this feature race last season here at Snetterton. Doesn't look like he's going to be doing much of the same here unless he has some sort of miracle. Carl Jacquelette's come in the pit lane with his very damaged car. At least the headlights are still working. Closest 2 cars on track though for the race lead again. Matt Draycott and Steve Burke. Steve needs a race win. He needs to catch up to Calvin Dent, Jake Robertson and Matt Draycott in the championship. I really do hope that whatever Calvin's issue is, it's not something hardware related that's taking him out here. In all honesty, I'm more hoping that he's quit from the second race out of frustration rather than being completely unable to race due to hardware, because that would be really heartbreaking for him, especially in his championship. He has got a very, very good chance of still winning the Independence Championship. It would take something pretty magical for someone to beat him in that at the moment. Look at these battles we've got going on here. 3 duos on track. Steve Burke and Matt Draycott having a dance. Then it's Derek Robb and Andy Fox. And into the pits, Dan McCauley, the first car in for his scheduled stop. Although actually, to be fair, I think Carl Jacquelette's stop last time round was scheduled as well. So maybe a good time for Carl. He just held on with the damage, used it as his pit stop, got his fast repair. Niall Crowther's just come in as well. Carl Jacquelette's going to continue and go through. That wasn't Carl Jacquelette, I think that was Michael Jones. There he is. Across the line he goes, 11.5 minutes down. And this is Michael Elliott, with Michael Blake still behind him. Elliott's been showing us some brilliant defensive driving this season. We've got more of it here as well. Down the Bentley straight they go. The thing is, while you do get slipstream in these cars, it's not really enough to get the job done completely. I say that. Andy Fox has just gone past Derek Robb, but that's well too hot into Brundle and Nelson, if you ask me. Runs wide on the exit. Manages to get back on. Where's Dan McCauley? Oh, he's in the pits. Oh, Chaz. Derek Robb goes back through, so Andy got the move done down the straight, and if anything, he's actually, well, he's worse off now. He's lost another place to Brian. I wouldn't be surprised to see Foxy come in the pits here, because he'll be thinking, right, I'm losing time behind Robb and Crowles. They both run wide in front of him. Are they all going to pit, though? They are. Oh, right. Foxy thinks, nah, I'll just carry on. Steve Burke, race leader, in the pit lane, importantly. Michael Blake comes in, Luke Austin comes in, so Michael Elliott carries on. He's made a habit of pitting late this season. So Draycott now leads Fox, leads Elliott. Now where is Dan McCauley going to come out in relation to Steve Burke? We'll go on board with Dan into the final corner. Another car into the pit lane as well, that's Michael Jones. And you can see Steve Burke just leaving the pits. You'll see the white car on the right hand side of your screen. There he is. Let's see what the gap comes down to. That's Derek Robb that Dan is just going to go past. Is he going to go round his teammate? Carries the speed, and he does go round his teammate to inherit that position. I'll show you the pit stops on the left hand side, so you can see now that Burke is the highest placed car that has pitted. Good stuff from Steve. Dan will be happy though to have got ahead of Derek. The two of them were very stuck in that fight. But Matt Draycott leads this race overall. That's a nice shot of the spec map there. And that of course is Andy Fox lighting it up in the background. Andy needing a good result to get some strong championship points here. He needs to reignite his championship challenge. Draycott stays out again, so too does Andy. What will Michael Elliott do? Yeah, he's going to stay out as well. So it's just those three at the front that haven't pitted at the moment. Steve Burke 20 seconds back. So as long as Steve has some clean outlaps and some quick outlaps, less of that, he should hold on. He should hold on. Looks like Calvin has had issues. He's disconnected from the Discord as well. And Liam Silkstone, I'm afraid. It's a real shame to have lost those pair. They were both doing so well in the first race. Luke Austin all over the back of Michael Blake here. These two had a bit of contact in race 1. Into the Wilson hairpin. Oh, Michael bouncing all over the curbs. What can Luke do here? He brakes early. Gives Michael all the room in the world. Around the hairpin they go. Just behind them, Brian Crowles. After his pit stop. His pit stop was 18.7 seconds compared to Luke's 11.6 and Michael's 12.3. Oh, Michael Jones having a nightmare out of turn 1. Kicking up all the dust and smacking the curb. That was Niall Crowther just putting a lap on him there. Now Matt Draycott's in the pits. Is Andy Fox going to follow him? He is. Foxy's in. Those cones glow in the dark, don't they? Love that. iRacing. Nice job. So Michael Elliott, again, will be the last car to pit. Here is Matt Draycott stopping in his box. Andy Fox going up the bump in the background. And that is Steve Burke in the background now, just coming out of the final corner. Draycott needs to be getting a move on here if he wants to get ahead of Steve. He does start moving. He's flooring it. He's on the pit limiter. Here is Steve Burke. Is he going to go through and keep the lead? It looks like it. He is. Steve Burke holds on to the race lead. Now what's happening behind? Dan McCauley and Derek Robb are both past Andy Fox, but he doesn't need to worry about Brian Crowles. He's dropped down. Then it's Michael Blake behind with Luke Austin still in tow. Now I've got to wonder about where Michael Elliott's going to filter out in all of this, because he was keeping Michael Blake and Andy Fox behind at Alton Park for so long before he pitted. And then when he did pit, he still came out ahead of Andy and Michael, even though they were considerably faster on their in-laps. But Michael had an incident, and I think Andy had an incident as well. So Steve Burke then is theoretically your race leader from Matt Draycott, if you discount the pit stops. Michael Elliott just coming into the final corner now. He's 19 seconds clear of the guys behind, and he does not do another lap. He comes straight into the pit lane, and there you go. So Steve needs to try and hold on here. He's not won a race yet in the British Boring Car Championship. He was an independent last season, driving the car that Luke Austin is in this season. He finished second in the independents to the man behind him, Matt Draycott. These two were fighting for that championship all season long. Michael Elliott has been overtaken by all of these guys. Derek Robb goes through. Is Andy Fox going to go through? It was Michael Blake that he was battling with before. Here is Michael. Is he going to clear him? He is. And Luke Austin's going to go with him as well, actually. Michael Elliott's lost out a little bit there in the pit stops. What about Brian Crowles? Is Brian going to get a cutback? He's on the brakes a little bit through turn one, but no. Or is he? Never mind. He tries it again. There's the scary tree being lit up in all of its glory. Brian's very late on the brakes, goes in a little bit hot, but gets it stopped. Nice stuff from Brian Crowles. Up into 8th place, Michael Elliott 9th. Niall Crowther is in the last point scoring position, but he's got severe damage on that car. He's actually had a bit of a crash as Niall. Oh no, he's going to have gone off at Brundle and Nelson. Let's have a look what happened to poor Niall. Is he going to roll it? Oh, he is. I thought there was a lot of damage on that car. It's a big, big roll. Plenty of rolling. Wow. Big one for Niall. Hits the barrier and everything. But still, he's continuing in that battered car because he knows he's in a point-scoring position. Fair play, lad. Fair play. Luke Austin has tried and succeeded in getting past Brian Crowles. Oh, sorry, that was in the previous lap. That was after the pit stops. I was getting confused. So, we have 11.5 minutes left of this race to go. Steve Burke still leads the way from Matt Draycott. Team Jane Fonda are having a whale of a time here at Snetterton. 1st and 4th in race 1. Currently 3rd and 4th in race 2. That's going to be so many more championship points than they've had so far this season. They'll be very pleased with that. But are we about to see... I was saying before this race meeting that we only had 4 race winners this season in the British Boring Car Championship. Calvin Dent, Matt Draycott, Jake Robertson and Carl Jacquelet. And we're going to have 2 first-time race winners as well. Not just this season, but their first ever race wins if it stays this way for Steve Burke. But we know that he's going to have to defend hard from that man there, Matt Draycott. With this, Matt will go 11 points clear in the championship. And Steve will climb, especially with Calvin Dent not scoring as well. Steve will climb right back up there into the title hunt. With the guys behind. Michael Blake's gone off the circuit. He's gone way, way wide. And Luke Austin has gone through. What happened to Michael? Was he pushed? Did he jump or was he pushed? He's going to be just jumping on his own here, I think. Just a bit too hot into Brundle and Nelson. Maybe, oh, the curb. It was the curb that put him wide, unfortunately. Oh, Luke Austin's gone off now in sympathy. Michael's got the run back on him. And down the straight they go, side by side, completely together across the line. This is for 6th and 7th position. Around the outside goes Michael. Trying to hold on with these shattered tyres. Luke, great avoidance. Absolutely flings the car to the right there as he was bouncing wide. Nice stuff. Around the Wilson hairpin, but look at the visibility now. You've got the cars in front, but look at Steve Burke's visibility. Just the headlights and the bridge. Matt Draycott is right behind him. Ready? There is Draycott in the Team Red Ring car. Steve he's holding on to it at the minute, although, oh, that was shades of his teammate. Tom Jacobs has had internet issues this season, but Steve has been carrying the flag ever so wonderfully without him. We do hope to see Tom back on the grid again very soon, but that was a scary moment for Steve there. And this is Derek Robb all over the back of his teammate Dan McCauley. Dan's all over the grass. Derek's thinking, right, I'm not going to slow down for you, or is he? No, he does wait. He lets Dan stay in front. Now the pair of them need to get a move on here because Andy Fox is waiting in the background. The wily Fox himself, here he is. His team Jane Fonda do a bit of a formation fly past ahead of him. He's going to be thinking, right, he's actually gained half a second on Derek Robb just down that straight based on that run out the final corner. Derek breaks early, lets Dan stay in front. Andy has gained nearly a second on these pair in just this first half a lap, so this could well and truly turn into another 2-on-2 battle here, because we've got the two Team Jane Fonda cars and then the two Might Just Fit cars chasing them down. Luke Austin's still on Michael Blake's coattails. Michael Jones has had an issue, I'm afraid. Another car off at Brundle and Nelson. As he just, as it's gone one way then the other. Big run wide. And this inter-team battle is still going on. I do love the look of these cars. That Jetta really does suit that livery. The Team Jane Fonda machine. Trust me, not a lot rhymes with Honda. But Dan, you know, I'm good friends with Dan, but I always say he's got great pace. He is a quick racing driver. He was an incredibly quick kart racer as well. Very successful. But he's just not had a chance to show it properly yet this season, as Michael Jones has gone off again at the same corner. He's just not had a chance to show it before in boring cars. He had a baptism of fire at Alton Park. We unfortunately didn't see him at Donington. He was working away as his teammate sends it up the inside. Derek Robb's there. Andy Fox now wants to get in on this as well. Dan's off the circuit. Flipping heck, this has come alive. The gap was 5 seconds back to Michael Blake. It's now 2.8. And Luke Austin's less than half a second behind him now. We've got 6.5 minutes to go in this race, and it's hotting up. There's less than half a second between the top two as Draycott runs wide on the grass. But look at this behind Derek Robb, Dan McCauley. Dan's off again. You've got to think these guys will run out of incident points soon. If they avoid contact early on, though, you can use the incident points all the way to the end of the race quite nicely. But it's gone properly dark now here at Snetterton. And we love it. We really do. So, the battle for the lead is very hot now. Draycott all over the back of Burke. Is Draycott going to tie with Dennis Melchert's record of 5 race wins in the British Boring Car Championship? Oh no, Dan McCauley, no. I was going to say he was running out of incident points. He gets a drive through. Is he going to hold on to a point scoring position? He should do. He's just down to 9th now. He is. He carries on. But that means the battle goes on without him. Derek Robb and Andy Fox are right together for the final podium spot. Oh, Luke Austin's gone deep into the hairpin. Brian Crowell's all over the back of him. Looks like Luke's had a bit of damage because the headlights have gone a bit funny. Oh, he's blinking in and out a bit there as well. But Derek Robb and Andy Fox just ahead of them there at the bottom of his shot. Still having their battle. That looks hot. That looks hot into their del. Oh, he somehow gets it stopped. Foxy wants his first podium of the season. He's not had one yet. Michael Blake and Luke Austin both go off. Brian Crowell's is there as Luke comes back on. Through the bomb hole. Crowell's gains a place. Or does he? Luke's going to hold on for dear life around the outside, but it's not going to work. I'm just going to check. I don't think Foxy has had a podium yet this season. What is Foxy's best result? He's only had 6 points finishes. 2 of them were 7th places. That's his best finish this season for Andy Fox, and he wants that podium spot from Derek Robb. He's got the run, and he's got the chance to do it now. What's Derek going to do about it? We've got 5 minutes still to go. Round the outside, they both chuck it in. The cars go completely sideways into turn 1, nearly making contact, kissing wing mirrors a bit. Andy just moving around a little bit. These cars do warble side to side quite a lot. Derek goes in hot. Andy tries the cutback. Has he made that work? He has. That's beautiful stuff from Andy Fox. Gorgeous. Gets a podium spot with it. Now he needs to just run away. He needs to hope that Michael Blake, his teammate, can put Derek Robb off. Thank you for the info, Ian. Just got there before you, mate. Sorry. But this hasn't gone away either. Matt Draycott has not gone away from the back of Steve Burke. And it worries me that these two are going to be running low on incident points. You can somehow see the Team Red Ring car in there. But not a bad race meeting by Draycott standards. 2 second places will be good. Oh, Niall's having a bit... Look, you can just see the chunks missing out of that car, the silhouette of it. That car has been through the wars. It's been through hell and back again. It looks very odd with the headlights not quite lighting up in the same way as the others do. Oh, Brian Crowles is doing a bit of rallycross himself. He gets a poor run out of the final corner. That's Luke Austin just behind, who's the lead independent at the moment, if you look on the left-hand side. Only 3 of them in the race. Michael Jones is a lap down, and Calvin Dent is out of the race. Unfortunate to see Josh Rayfield have that accident at the start. Oh, Derek Robb and Andy Fox nearly made contact there. But now that gives Andy a bit more breathing room for 3rd place. He's going to be just shaking his fist in the mirror saying, just bugger off, Del. Leave me alone. Just leave me be. Michael Jones has gone off again. He'll have a drive-through before long, I'm sure. Brian Crowles, though, he's still got Luke Austin right behind him, still trying to defend. We've got 2.5 minutes left. So as Draycott and Burke... Oh, Luke Austin runs wide again. Still fighting, still all over the back of Brian Crowles, and even down the inside into Coram, not quite. Look at the cars just wobbling around, trying to cling on to any grip they can around there. Great stuff to see. These guys do not half push these cars hard. Now we've got 1 minute and 45 seconds. So Steve Burke's going to have to hold on for this lap. And then one more, I think. Yeah, it will be. So 2 laps to go in round 12 of the British Boring Car Championship. As Brian Crowles flipping heck, chucking it up that curb, sunshine. Andy Fox is now 0.6 of a second clear of Derek Robb. And you wouldn't think it, would you? It's 0.3 as they come out of there. Michael Blake's closed in behind. What can Michael do from here? Has he got the chance to catch up and get some really strong points for Might Just Fit, the reigning team's champions? Can he do anything from this distance? Now Derek Robb looks down the inside of Andy Fox into Brundle and Nelson. This could end in tears. Oh, there's a touch. You better hope that none of them have got enough incident points to get a 4x out of that. As in the background, Luke Austin's had Brian Crowles as well by the look of it. He has. He's got a better run, but we'll go back to this. Michael Blake now chasing his teammate and Derek Robb. I really hope that that's not giving either of them the drive-through. That little bit of contact in there then. Because it so easily could have. Especially not Andy Fox, who's on his way to a podium. Just drive past the pits, Andy. I pray to you. Drive past the pits. Draycott and Burke on the final lap of the race now. Half a second between them. Trust me, there's less than that between Michael Blake and Derek Robb. They're side by side down the straight. This is shades of Silverstone last season where Derek moved over a bit and put them both out of the race. No such thing going on here. Oh, Andy Fox has gone wide though. Looks like fire coming out the back of the car as the headlights light up the dust and smoke. Andy holding on though, but ahead. Steve Burke and Matt Draycott. Halfway down the Bentley straight. Looks like Draycott isn't close enough to do anything. You can see Michael Blake just peering out in the background. Same with Luke Austin as well and Brian Crowles. But Steve Burke for Nodaphone is on his way. to his first victory in the British Boring Car Championship. You can tell they're low on incident points. They're both being very careful indeed. Michael Blake and Derek Robb battling till the end, but round Coram for the final time with 0.7 of a second as an advantage. Into Murray's, onto the brakes once more. And it gives me great pleasure to say that for the first time in the British Boring Car Championship, Steve Burke is a race winner in round 12. He told me he'd do it tonight. Draycott second, more valuable points for the championship, and even more pleasure for Andy Fox. Finally gets a podium this season. Michael Blake, what a drive. 7 places gained from 11th on the grid to finish 4th. Derek Robb, great defending. And Luke Austin just loses out to Brian Crowles at the end. Michael Ellett is going to be next up. There he is, finishing in 8th position. Dan McCauley, real shame for Dan, but still 2 championship points for his troubles. And then Carl Jacquelet, 26 seconds down from those guys. But there is your race winner. Well, there he goes. For the first time in the championship, Steve Burke takes a race win. Matt Draycott will be very pleased with tonight. 2 second places. That's very important on a night where Jake Robertson and Calvin Dent both have 0 points each. As Steve smashes it into the barrier. He's going to reappear somewhere. Yeah, there. Andy Fox will be over the moon as well with getting a podium. And his teammate Michael Blake as well. He had to work for that race, didn't he? But there you go. Steve Burke is a race winner in the British Boring Car Championship. Matt Draycott, 2nd place, 8 seconds clear of Andy Fox, who gets a podium. Might just fit having a good race there with Michael Blake in 4th. Derek Robb 5th for Team Jane Fonda. He's had a great night, to be fair. And Brian Crowles, more points for him. Luke Austin wins the Independents again. Michael Ellett finishes 8th with Dan McCauley unfortunately down in 9th. Carl Jacquelet rounds out the top 10. More points for Team Netcode in that team's championship. Niall Crowther, after his rallycross debut, just outside of the points in 11th. Michael Jones is 12th. Josh Rayfield, Liam Silkstone and Calvin Dent all not finishing or not starting. Now, this guy doing donuts on the grass knows exactly what that means for the championship, and he will be at the very top of it. Brian Crowles, he's just doing donuts because why not, to be honest. You cannot blame him at all. But we're going to rewind back to the start of this race, when it was still slightly daylight and you could actually see something. But Steve Burke joins me in the booth. Well, Steve, I said on the broadcast that, you know, before tonight you said you're going to do a good job, but in different words. You weren't lying, were you? Pole position and then a race win after a great first race as well. You must be delighted.
Absolutely over the moon. Yeah, I don't know why I don't say that more often, to be honest.
Certainly paid off. But at the end of the day, though, mate, I mean, you had to work for it in both races. You know, I always say that it's about managing your evening, isn't it? You have to work hard to get through the grid in the first race so you're in a better position for race 2. It seemed like you just played that perfectly tonight.
Yeah, it worked out really well. Delighted with pole position. I did have a little bit of draft, and then, yeah, first race I couldn't quite stick with Josh. I got held up. Well, I didn't get held up, but just struggled to get past Michael and I can't remember the other guy, Luke. But yeah, no, like you say, managed it well. Came home in 5th, hoping for a good start in the next race. I think Josh made a mistake on the first lap, which was good for me because I was really struggling to keep up with him.
I was going to say, we've just seen him fly off stage right there. He completely rolled the car like multiple times and it ended up on its roof. So, oh no, sorry, Niall rolled it multiple times. Josh just put it on its roof and it skidded nicely along on its windscreen, but unfortunately that was it. He DNF'd. You were, I tell you what, you were under pressure for the whole thing though there with Matt, weren't you? He was not going away.
Yeah, it's one of those tracks. It's difficult if you're in the lead. The person behind obviously, gets the draft. I had that off Matt for a little bit in the first race and a few other people. And yeah, he had that off me all the way through the second race.
Yeah, it certainly looked like it was a difficult one to try and run away from. But either way, mate, your first win in the series. Very, very pleased for you. We both know it's been coming a long time as well, especially after fighting so hard for the independents last season. Do you want to give anybody a quick shout out before we let you go?
You especially for putting the series on. All the guys that make it possible. Niall, obviously, Tom, my teammate who can't be here this evening, unfortunately, and anyone called Gordon that's watching today.
Smashing. Well, shout outs to Gordon, but thank you very much, Steve. Well done, mate. Honestly, so pleased for you, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers, Chaz.
Cheers. And another guy that we can be oh so pleased for this evening, who has beaten his best result of the season by, well, you could say double or half. How would you word it, Andy? A podium, you've got to be over.
A hell of a lot is what I'd word it, Chaz.
Love that, mate. You must be beaming tonight, because we both know, I mean, I've been saying it all season, you've got the pace to be up there, but you've just not had any luck at all, have you?
No. I mean, to be fair, today, I thought I was going to end up the same way, because I was quick in practice, and then it came to quali, and it was P12 in quali, and I was gutted.
Yeah.
Never give up, I think, is the phrase.
Well, I mean, it seems that the Might Just Fit cars go well in the feature races around here, because I mean, your teammate Michael gained 7 places from 11th on the grid to get 4th, so you know that was a mega result as well. What was the sort of consensus between the two of you when you were trying to battle Derek Robb, because he was not going anywhere, was he?
No, it was a good battle, and I missed my braking point into the hairpin a few times, and I was half expecting it up the inside, but no, we all kept it relatively clean between the three of us. It was a good battle towards the end.
It certainly looked like a difficult track to try and break away from drivers behind as well. Steve Burke was just saying that. Obviously, he was trying to run away from Matt the whole time. How did you find it was trying to get past as well? Did you find it just as difficult?
To be honest, I think I made quite a few passes during the race, and I seemed to have a bit of pace coming through the S's, and I got quite a few where it was brake early and then get a good run out and get up the inside into the bomb hole.
Well, it seemed to work for you, mate, and like I say, that first podium of the season, finally. Are you going to get more now?
That's the plan. But I haven't said that. That's been the plan all along, and I've done that well so far.
Love it, mate. Well, great to see it, Andy. Very chuffed for you. And before we let you go, do you want to give a quick thanks to anybody?
I mean, everybody that watches, obviously my brother will be going mad in the chat, no doubt, and
he is.
I've got plenty of other people watching me tonight, so it's all been good. And obviously thanks to you for putting on what is one of the best racing series is on iRacing, I reckon.
Thank you very much, Andy. Well, great to speak to you as always, buddy. We'll have a catch up afterwards, and
We
well
will.
done above everything else.
Cheers, Chaz. Cheers.
Cheers, mate. And somebody that'll be wondering what might have been with this race, we're going to have to actually go back to lap 1 on the replay so you can see him on track. But Josh Rayfield joins me. Josh, that was it was looking like it could have been such a strong night. I mean, it still was a strong night for Team Red Ring if you look at race 1 and Matt's second place, but that just shows you how fickle it can be, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I hardly hit the curb, to be honest. It was a light tap. It wasn't anything. It wasn't like absolutely ramped it.
Yeah. And
just flipped the car. I literally just tapped it because I ran a bit deep into the corner, and I was doing it in practice, and the car seemed to deal with it quite fine. And obviously, I was getting the run off the corner, but I was still like holding momentum. And I don't know what happened. I just tapped the curb, and then I was expecting it to roll and land back on its wheels, but it didn't. It just like kind of like slid into the barrier, and I was like, oh, okay, well that's my race done.
Well, there was a perfect example afterwards as well in the race where Niall Crowther put the car over, and I mean, we've seen it before in the Jetta, haven't we? As soon as the wheels touch the ground, they're like pogo sticks, aren't they? And it flips it back over, but he got really unlucky there because it just sat on its windscreen, didn't it?
Yeah, if for the first night this season, I felt like I had the chance to win a race with pace-wise. From what I heard, everyone in quali had draft for the 121 threes, and I think I was the only person who got into the 121 threes without a draft. And that is quite a big confidence boost for me anyway. But
yeah, for sure.
I've just got to come back at Brands and just send it again, I guess. It's the only thing I can do.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's your home circuit, obviously, Brands Hatch. You know it very, very well. And the Indy circuit is all the more difficult. We're just seeing your accident now in the replay, and it's just such an unlucky one. But hopefully none of that, Brands. There's no massive curbs there to roll over, but I'm sure you'll try and find one with how hard you send it. A couple more race meetings to go, though. Do you want to try and get into the top 5 in the championship? Is that your aim?
Yeah, I guess. Obviously, I know I don't really have a chance of getting top 3 now. I think that's a bit out of range. Don't know what the points are like for 4th. But yeah, hopefully a top 5. I'll be happy with 6th again, to be honest, because it's the number I run. So
that's the aim, really, isn't it? P6, so you can get car number 6 for next season.
Yeah, definitely.
Love it. Well, good to speak to you as always, Josh. Anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, my mum, my dad, Darren, Connor, Gavin, everyone in Sportsman, Matty, for just helping me and just pointing a little few things out in previous rounds.
Smashing. Great to speak to you, mate. See you at Brands.
Yeah, see you later, man.
Cheers. Well, that rounds out our evening then. Steve Burke takes his first win in the British Boring Car Championship. Matt Draycott heads to the top of the title race with a very, very poor evening, unfortunately, for Calvin Dent, while Jake Robertson does not attend. Andy Fox gets his first podium of the season after a very poor run of luck recently. And as you've heard, you can join us in a week's time at Brands Hatch Indy for rounds 13 and 14. We then head back to Alton Park for the Alton Park Island Circuit, and then we finish things up under lights once again at Silverstone in 3 weeks' time. Thank you everybody for watching though. This has been the British Boring Car Championship. My name is Chaz Draycott, and I will see you in a week at Brands. Have a good night.